I'm Harry Smith, in for Joshua Johnson. Good to be with you on this Tuesday, May 31st. Here's some of what we're talking about tonight. Days of anger give way to mourning as Uvalde begins to bury the victims. We'll look at how the Texas town is trying to pull itself back together after last week's mass shooting. Then there appears to be some movement in Congress on gun safety legislation. Might an agreement finally be within reach?
So if Congress can't come together and put politics aside now, I think it will cause a lot of people to start to turn their back on the whole enterprise.
A European ban on billions of dollars worth of Russian oil comes as Russian forces extend their control over eastern Ukraine. We're on the ground in Kyiv with the latest. Johnny Depp performs a John Lennon song in London while awaiting the verdict in the defamation trial involving his ex-wife Amber Heard. And we'll tell you why the biggest boy band in the world was at the White House today. Today, the community of Uvalde began to lay their children to rest. Families and loved ones gathered to say goodbye to two 10-year-old girls, Amory Jo Garza and Maite Rodriguez. Both were promising students at Robb Elementary, both deeply loved. A friend told Amory's father she had tried to use a cell phone to call police during the shooting. Families say Maite had dreams of going to Texas A&M in Corpus Christi to study marine biology. The school has since set up a scholarship in her honor. These are just two of the several services and viewings that are happening today. The town's two funeral homes have been overwhelmed since a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers last week. Among the grieving this weekend, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden. After he left a Catholic mass in Uvalde, family and friends of the victims pleaded with the president for change. Not exactly easy to hear, but if you didn't catch that, Biden said, "We will do something." NBC News Now correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins us now from Uvalde. Good evening.
Good evening, Harry. They actually just wrapped up a prayer circle here right as we were coming on air, and so many of this community coming here to continue to sort of grieve, Harry.
I understand you've got some news that involves the school district chief of police. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. We're learning from state investigators that the police chief has not responded to a request for an additional interview. In the past several days, he did an initial interview in the immediate aftermath of this, but state investigators have reached out to him requesting to speak with him again, and he has not responded to that request. And state officials say that the Uvalde PD and the school district PD are still cooperating, but notes that he has not yet complied with that request. In fact, we haven't heard much from him over the past several days here as questions continue to circulate around the police response, in which he is at the center of, with officials saying that it was him who made the call that officers not engage with the shooter when he was in that classroom for that extended period of time, telling them to not engage, waiting for those tactical teams. There's, of course, a federal investigation now into that police response, as we're learning that state investigators are saying he is not responding to requests for further interviews about what happened on that fateful day just a week ago.
And just to reiterate some of what you said, Priscilla, is this is the district school's chief of police who said, no, we're going to wait at this door. We think this is a kind of standoff. What he said and what the law enforcement ended up responding following his orders, the head of law enforcement in the state of Texas said a day or two later that this was a big mistake.
Yeah, he did say that. And since then, we have not heard from the school police chief. In fact, he was supposed to be sworn in as a city councilman earlier today, and that did not happen. Not a lot of details on why it didn't happen, but we could speculate, but we won't do that. But it didn't happen, and now we're not hearing anything from him at this moment.
Interesting. Priscilla Thompson in Uvalde with us tonight. Thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Got it. The small town of Uvalde, Texas, is just beginning to process what happened, but we can look to other communities and survivors who have experienced similar tragedies. Sandy Phillips' daughter was killed in the 2012 mass shooting in Aurora, Colorado, at a movie theater. She's been supporting survivors ever since. She was just in Buffalo after the racist mass shooting there that killed 10 people earlier this month. And she joins us now along with her husband, Lonnie Phillips. I want to begin by quickly reading something to you. Uvalde's only pediatrician talked about signs of PTSD he witnessed in the aftermath. And he told the Today Show, quote, "In clinic the next day, all I heard was, 'I'm afraid he's coming for me. I'm afraid he's going to come and get me at my house.' The kids were telling me that. I was hearing that the whole day. I'm telling you, this is going to be a mental health crisis for our community." Lonnie, and we certainly appreciate you and Sandy taking the time to join us tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for inviting us on.
Sandy, talk to me a little bit about, let's go back to Buffalo first. You hear about what happened in Buffalo and you went there. Why?
Well, this is the 20th mass shooting we've responded to now. We were standing on the corner in Buffalo with a grassroots activist and a survivor whose daughter had hidden in one of the freezers. And I was telling him that this was the 19th mass shooting we had responded to. And then I got the message that this was happening. I said, and we're going to be responding to number 20. So our work in this area started off 5 months after Jesse was killed in the Aurora shooting with Sandy Hook. And that was our first response. And here we are 10 years later at another elementary school shooting in Uvalde. And this one, I can tell you, this one is more horrendous than I can even put words to in so many ways, because the community is not getting the support and the services they deserve.
Can I ask you, Lonnie and Sandy, first? People start to use words like healing in these situations. Do you heal?
No, you don't. You never heal from this. All I can tell you is I did an interview yesterday here locally in San Antonio, and I was doing just fine. And I was telling the story about Jessie and I met Jessie when she was 5.5 years old. She's my stepdaughter. And telling the interviewer how we hit it off. And I've told her that when she left to go to Colorado to go to college, and I pulled up a mental picture of us hugging and saying goodbye, and I just broke down. Tears came to my eyes. I just couldn't control it. I had to take a breath. So I'm telling you that no one knows what grief is until you've experienced. You cannot explain it.
Sandy, how about yourself?
Oh, healing is such a ambiguous term. It's you don't recover from this, and you will have people, these folks will have people just a few months from now that will say to them, you need to move on. You need to get over this. And you never get over this. You learn to cope with it. You learn coping mechanisms. You learn to find purpose in your life, and you learn joy again. But it's a different kind of life, and it's an alternative reality. It's such a bizarre world that we live in. And with these things happening again and again, it's re-traumatizing. And I worry about these people in Uvalde. My heart, we've been there now for 4 days, and
we've talked to local officials there, talked to the coroner, and he explained to us how tight-knit this community is and how horrific these people are. What happened to them is hard to explain. After we heard what happened and the way they were turned into hamburger meat by these weapons, it's something that's hard to comprehend and hard to explain.
And we have the ability to bring in over 90 trauma specialists to this community, and we can't get answers on who to work with and who's in charge of the mental health response. And it's extremely frustrating because we know not only do the families need it, the entire community needs trauma therapy and PTSD help, and we can't get those answers. It's incredibly aggravating and frustrating, and all these people need is someone to help them, and we can't get it done.
And one of the things I read today is that Texas ranks last in terms of mental health resources, and here you are ready to bring in help, and no one can give you answers on how to connect folks.
It's horrendous, and these children are going to need a specialized kind of trauma therapy. You know, they're going to need art therapists that are trained in trauma as well, and again, we can help with that. We're not saying we're the solution, but we can certainly help with that. And to feel like we're being blocked at every turn is very frustrating. And I'm a little overwhelmed. I guess you can tell. We're strong people, and this is the 20th response for us. But we're tired.
This is the worst one that we've responded to after all the 20. Even Sandy Hook. I mean, we met the parents there only a week after it happened, and they were still zombies. But we got to talk with them, and we talked to them many times, and it took a while for them to even remember who we were. So we know the same thing is going to happen here, and these people are. There's only 15,000 people in this town, and everyone seems to know each other, and it's just they've kind of pulled together and kind of shut. They don't want any outside help, and that's understandable. We found the same thing in Buffalo.
But we also know that these communities are very friendly, and they're very open to when we tell them why we're there and what we have done in the past and what we're capable of doing. They have been so warm and so loving and hugging us, and we've been hugging them back, just telling them that we understand. We've been walking in their shoes for 10 years, so we do understand their journey.
We developed a survivor's handbook with Gifford's organization that we were able to pass out maybe 50 or 60 of them to some people that promised to get them to the families. We think that will help them a lot because when what happened to us, we had nothing and we had to learn the hard way. And after 10 years of being on the road, I think we have a lot to offer. And I think the booklet will, and we call it the toolkit, give some tools to work with. I think it'll help them a lot.
Sandy and Lonnie, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Do take care. And I know there are people who are thankful for the fact that you're there and you're trying to help out. Be well, okay?
Thank you for inviting us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right. That small town, Uvalde, Texas, just beginning a cycle of funerals that will likely stretch into the middle of June. So does a town of just 16,000 people brace themselves for this kind of incessant grief? Joining us now is Pastor Tony Grubin with the Baptist Temple Church in Uvalde. Good evening, sir. Tony, can you hear me? They may have turned off something. Tony Grubin, we don't have him. We'll give him one more second. Tony, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, there we go. I knew sometimes it takes a minute. Let's go back to just this past weekend. Did you hold regular Sunday services, and what was it like?
Yes, we had regular Sunday services. At the regular time, we had special emphasis on our past week for sure.
As you've been there and made the rounds and spent time with people, what do you feel like? What do you feel like they need most?
Right now, prayer, concern, our love. Physically, they probably need rest. You get just inundated with the weight of the tragedy, and emotion just wears you out when it's this heavy, and so it just your body physically is tired, and so much rest is needed, and just the concern of people and love. Right now, at least the ones who are directly with children and family members that are grieving, they probably don't hear much. Um, so right now, they just need our presence and just our show of love for them right now.
It's interesting you say that, because if you were to try and put yourself in those people's shoes, the shock would not be worn off at this moment, may not wear off for some time to come. So you say just presence is important. Talk about that a little more.
Yeah. Just being there to give a hug, or maybe wash dishes, or because it's difficult in some with each person grieves differently than others. Some people need people around. Some people need to be silent. Some people need to talk. But some in the more extreme cases, they really, even functioning, doing just our normal things of life are just beyond them at this moment. And so, doing simple things for them, washing the dishes, getting food ready, and just helping them get through even a lot of the decision making that they're having to do. Maybe people have to do that. Help them walk through that with them. There's just various stages of grief that are the shock that people have to walk through, and thank goodness there are family members or friends that are stepping up and walking along beside and holding up and undergirding.
The covered dish from the neighbor down the street means a lot in days like this. For you to have then listened to and experienced face-to-face this just enormous amount of unbridled pain and suffering for days, as a pastor, what is that like?
It's heart-wrenching for me. I would say I'm also, I've told many people that, our community is close enough that we are all affected, and that, there's some measure of shock for myself and for my family. My youngest daughter was in that school just this last year. She's a fifth grader. So, and I have friends over there. So all of us have, a degree of shock in going through. So each of us must, I think, lean on one another and lean on God to give us the strength to even to console one another, and to walk with and through all that we're going through. And, the need for one another, and the need for love, and the need for others is tantamount now.
Yeah. Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the poor, or that's how they're, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. They're probably not feeling very blessed right now.
No, it'll take a while before they can hear much, from a preacher. And so for us preachers, there's the Bible talks about there's a time to be silent, and sometimes our words are at this point are hollow and empty, and it'll take a while before they can even hear the words of comfort that we bring. And sometimes we have to recognize that there is a time to be silent. Now, for preachers, that's not always an easy task. but sometimes wisdom and compassion overrides our need to talk.
Reverend Tony Grubin, we thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us this evening, and we wish you well on the mission that you have in the days and months to come.
I appreciate it. We are so grateful for all your care and your concern and the way y'all do. I believe that you two play a part in our healing and the healing of others who are experiencing in this with us. So I am grateful for your concern, and thank you for your time.
All right, Reverend Grubin, take care. Still to come, both the House and the Senate are working on gun legislation. You heard that right. But will this time be any different than any other time? Will both sides actually be able to compromise? We'll take a closer look after the break. We're glad you're with us for News Now from NBC News. Gun violence ripped through the country this Memorial Day weekend, and it took a number of lives. According to the Gun Violence Archive, a nonprofit research organization that collects data on gun violence, from 5 p.m. on Friday to 5 a.m. on Tuesday, at least 179 people were killed and 463 injured. They say the numbers are expected to change as new incidents are logged in. Many Americans are looking to Congress for help, and it looks like that help may be on the way.
We have a group led by Senator Cornyn and Senator Murphy on the Democratic side discussing how we might be able to come together to target the problem, which is mental illness and school safety.
We are hearing more interest in talking about real change. We have been in dialogue with our Republican colleagues exhaustively throughout the weekend, trying to find some common ground on changes to our gun laws to make sure that dangerous people don't get their hands on dangerous weapons.
Joining us now is NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor. Good morning. 17 years of morning television. I always say good morning. I apologize for that. Were you at least a little surprised, Sahil, by what Mitch McConnell said in our tape there just a second ago, that, yeah, we're going to do it. We had to, et cetera, et cetera? Sounds different to me.
I was surprised by that, Harry. That was the most surprising thing that's come out of these, these debates, these conversations in the last few days. I've covered Capitol Hill and I've covered Senator McConnell for more than a decade, and I've never seen him say this after a mass shooting, say that this is a problem that Congress needs to act to address. Now, he did frame it as a matter of mental illness and school safety, not about gun control per se, but it is highly unusual for someone like Mitch McConnell to say after a mass shooting, okay, this is bad and the Congress needs to step in to act. Generally, his posture is it's not about guns, and the states should be able to handle their own business on this sort of thing. And he's, of course, the leader of a caucus, the Republican caucus, that has a voter base and a gun lobby that is stringently opposed to restrictions on firearms. So he recognizes the changing politics on guns. He recognizes that the suburbs in particular, which is the new swing voters in America, are more and more supportive of gun restrictions. And as mass shootings become, sadly, horrifically, a routine event in the United States, that there are voters who want action.
It's really interesting because, as you say, within the gun lobby, gun advocate circles, the mantra is never give ground. And this at least sounds like there's some ground to be ceded.
In theory, yes. Now, the mantra of the gun lobby is that if you give 1 inch, they will take a mile. That is what the National Rifle Association, the NRA, and other gun rights groups that are even further to the right than the NRA say. That's why something like background checks, which has 90+% support in the country, doesn't get done. The gun lobby's attitude is that if you do this, you give background checks today, and then tomorrow they're going to come confiscate your guns and repeal the Second Amendment. And that is the mindset, that is the mentality that has kind of been drilled into a lot of voters who support gun rights, who own a gun, particularly in rural areas where Republicans are increasingly dominating the vote. So that has been the reason something hasn't been able to get done in the past. But again, a little movement is significant here. McConnell encouraging these negotiations, and the lead negotiator on the Republican side is John Cornyn of Texas. It was his home state where the Uvalde shooting happened. And he has worked on this issue before. Sometimes it ends in failure, like last year when he was trying to negotiate a background checks deal with Chris Murphy, the Democrat, who was also leading the negotiations on the Democratic side. And a few years ago, there was success. The Fix Nix Act, which improved reporting into the background check system, a very modest bill that did relate to guns in an indirect kind of roundabout way. That succeeded.
So he'll talk a little bit about what's in this omnibus bill, because it doesn't go all the way to background checks or red flag laws.
So there are two parallel trains moving on separate tracks here. In the House, the Judiciary Committee has called a meeting this Thursday. They'd bill it as an emergency meeting, even though the House is out of session, to pass a package of gun control measures, gun violence prevention measures. You see the details on the screen here. It raises the age of buying a semi-automatic rifle nationally from 18 to 21, a federal offense, establishes new federal offenses related to large capacity magazines, with some exceptions for law enforcement and things like that, new penalties for gun trafficking and straw purchases. And then it regulates gun storage. In other words, encourages safe storage and creates penalties for failing to comply with that. In addition, there are also measures that build on ATF regulations when it comes to bump stocks, as well as ghost guns. So they're taking a comprehensive approach. These measures are likely to pass the House. Democrats have a narrow majority, but they're able to pass a lot of significant things. Then it's going to go to the Senate, where most of these measures, if not all of them, are going to die.
It's so interesting. After Sandy Hook, I wrote an essay that was on prime time here on NBC, asking the question, if not now, when? Might it be when? May it be a time when something actually transpires?
Well, if you listen to Chris Murphy, he is from Connecticut. That is the state where Sandy Hook, of course, that horrific elementary school massacre happened nearly a decade ago. And he has said he's more optimistic now than he has ever been in the last decade, where he has pushed relentlessly to try to get something passed on the issue of guns. So will it get done? Look, the aides I speak to on Capitol Hill who are supportive of new gun limits range from cautiously optimistic, which is where I would say Chris Murphy stands, to deeply pessimistic. Mass shooting after mass shooting has not caused Congress to act. Election after election, when they have failed to act, has not resulted in serious punishments for it. I think that there's a lack of single-issue gun control voters that is perceived to be the reality out there. And until that changes, until single-issue gun control voters match single-issue gun rights voters, the politics will be very, very difficult to get something done. Might it be different this time? Maybe. Far from clear.
Gotcha. Sahil Kapoor, we so appreciate your expertise. Thank you, sir. Turning next to the war in Ukraine, the European Union is banning most Russian oil imports. Will this end up impacting what you pay at the pump? Plus, it was one of the strongest and earliest hurricanes ever to hit the region. We have an update on Agatha when we come back. Russia has ramped up its offensive in eastern Ukraine. Russian forces have now established control in more than half of a key industrial city in the Donbas region, severely disrupting communications. Meanwhile, Western allies have stepped up their sanctions on Russia. EU leaders today agreed to a significant embargo on most Russian oil imports by the end of this year. This was a long-awaited move. According to European Council President Charles Michel, the move will immediately impact 75% of Russian oil imports, with 90% banned by year end. NBC News correspondent Cal Perry has more from Ukraine. What's the latest there, Cal?
Harry, the focus of much of the country and certainly the continent now when it comes to the fighting happens to be in eastern Ukraine, in the Donbas region. Now, we should remind our viewers there has been an 8-year-long war in this region, but we have not seen fighting this fierce since that war began. Entire cities and towns are being destroyed by Russian forces, according to Ukrainian officials, as they use heavy artillery and airstrikes, as we're told, almost around the clock. The heaviest fighting seems to be in the key city of Severodonetsk. this is the key to the region, we're told. It really is the last stronghold of Ukrainian forces in what is the Luhansk region, which is half of that Donbass region. Russian forces have now entered part of that city, we understand. And look, we don't have a good sort of read on how many casualties the Ukrainian military is taking in the eastern part of the country, because they tell us they're not going to pass on that information during wartime. So the best we have is an estimate by President Zelensky that some 50 to 100 Ukrainian soldiers could be dying every day on the eastern front of this conflict. Now, this battle and this front follows what was a battle in the north, in the Kharkiv region, where Ukrainian forces pushed Russian troops out. And what we're seeing there today is war crimes tribunals. 2 former Russian soldiers sentenced to 12 years in prison for their part in shelling the Kharkiv region when it was under Russian control. All of this happening in the backdrop of diplomacy by the European Union finally implementing a ban on Russian crude oil. It will cover 90% of the crude oil that flows from Russia into the European Union. There are exemptions, and there are a number of things that will allow for countries like Hungary to continue to import Russian crude oil, for example, if there's a problem with the pipeline. So there are exemptions to this deal. But look, according to President Zelensky, it will cost the Russians tens of millions of euros. Ukrainian officials calling it a good first step. It took 4 weeks for the European Union to come to this agreement. It shows you how difficult this could be. And when summer turns into fall and fall turns into winter, these countries, of course, are going to come under increasing amounts of pressure when energy prices rise. So the European Union says they can handle that with what they call their internal energy market. But it shows you how difficult a process this is to cut Russian oil out of the equation. Harry?
Cal Perry, thanks so much. Here now to discuss the EU's ban on Russian oil imports is Denton Cinquagrana, Chief Oil Analyst for Oil Price Information Service, or OPIS. Thank you for taking the time to join us. What is your reaction to this EU agreement tonight?
Yeah, no, it's a big step really in the right direction to cut off funds to Putin and his war. So this is something that I think Cal just mentioned that, Ukraine has been waiting on for several weeks now, and this has finally come to fruition. Like you said, about 90% of the Russian oil exports that go to Europe, this is all exports that go to Europe via water, so on ships. And those are going to be difficult to track, of course, but the fact that the ships are banned, insurance companies will not insure the shippers. So it'll make it really punitive if someone does try and skirt these rules.
The EU gets about a third of its oil from Russia. Do you have any sense of where they're going to get their new supply from?
I think a lot of it will actually come from the United States. We've opened up the reserves, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and there's more production coming from the United States in West Texas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, places like that. That we're waiting for that production to come back to where it was pre-pandemic. Some of it is getting back there, but again, like everything else, there's labor shortages, there's equipment shortages, and it takes time to begin with. So that's just kind of added to the timeline. But U.S. refiners have more or less kind of tapped out on how much light sweet oil we can run in our refineries. You go back over the last 20 years or so, U.S. refiners have invested in the ability to take heavy, sour, really lousy crude oil and turn it into useful products. That light sweet stuff that we're able to produce here in the U.S. is not as wanted as much by U.S. refiners. So I think a lot of that is going to end up being exported. And we've already started to see that in some of the weekly data as far as U.S. exports are concerned. So I think the U.S. being a little bit of a backstop on oil supplies has really helped make Europe, really kind of make this move.
Interesting. How much do you think it's going to hurt Russia? Take all those euros / what they wanted, rubles, but taking all those euros out of their pockets?
Yeah, no, I think it's significant. Now, they're going to find ways to move oil. China has been picking up quite a bit. India has been picking up some as well. And they're getting this oil really cheap at really discounted rates because, quite frankly, the market is very limited. However, with that being said, there's only so much refining capacity in those two countries. There's only so much more oil that China could take into their strategic reserves. And at some point, Russian refineries can't take any more of their own domestic oil. So they're going to have to cut back on production. They're going to run out of storage space, and eventually crude oil has good that they're going to have to close off the taps on Russian crude oil. So again, this is part of that domino effect that we're seeing.
Yeah, because they need the cash in order to continue production.
Definitely.
Just looking at one of my apps today, the price of WTI, West Texas Intermediate, that's crude in the United States of America, jumped back up to $115 a barrel. That's not as high as it got in March, but that's still way up there. And people every day when they go to the gas station just say, when does this stop? Is there,
right.
What do you see on that horizon?
Well, it's hard to see a stop to it. Now, with that being said, WTI got almost up to $120 overnight last night into this morning. Markets really pulled back on some headlines from the Wall Street Journal that said OPEC, which meets this week actually, and they're discussing exempting Russia from their output levels. So with the market kind of translated that to mean is like it's going to pave the way for countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, who does have some spare capacity to up their production and export more oil. So again, yes, prices are high for oil. I don't see anything in the near term that's gonna drop them significantly. However, the second half of the year, I do think will look at least a little bit different from the front half of the year. With that being said, gasoline prices are still going up. Right now, the national average this morning was about $4.62. It's probably going to be a couple pennies higher tomorrow. That doesn't help, obviously, for drivers. And then the price of diesel. I mean, we can't forget that because everything we buy in the grocery store or we have something delivered to us, it gets there by a truck that runs on diesel. And those costs are being passed on to the consumer. And it's just more burden for the consumer.
And guess who has a diesel vehicle?
Oh, Harry, don't tell me it's you.
It's me. Thank you so much. Den Cinquegrana, thank you. We really appreciate your expertise tonight. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
We'll get to some of today's other top stories in just a moment, including Hurricane Agatha hitting the coast of Mexico with winds over 100 miles per hour. Plus, why was South Korean boy band BTS at the White House today? We'll explain. And the jury is deliberating in the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. But what is it that has us all glued to this case? That's all just ahead. Stay close. Your headlines tonight: an historic start to hurricane season over the weekend. Agatha is one of the earliest and strongest hurricanes to ever hit North America from the Pacific. It made landfall yesterday as a Category 2 storm. Trees were uprooted and streets flooded in Mexico's Oaxaca state, where it came on shore. Agatha reached wind speeds of up to 105 miles an hour and became the strongest May hurricane to hit Mexico's west coast since record-keeping started in 1949. Meanwhile, at the White House, you might say today's daily press briefing was dynamite. That's because the Korean pop sensation BTS was on hand as part of the Biden administration's recognition of the Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Here are some remarks from today.
It is a great honor to be invited to the White House today to discuss the important issues of anti-Asian hate crimes, Asian inclusion, and diversity. We thank President Biden and the White House for giving this important opportunity to speak about the important causes, remind ourselves of what we can do as artists.
After the press briefing, the global phenom was scheduled to meet with President Biden in the Oval Office. To help stop anti-Asian hate from inside the classroom, more and more states are looking to implement a K-12 curriculum that includes the contributions, history, and heritage of the AAPI community. NBC's Jolene Kent takes a look into the efforts to get Asian American history into schools.
High school senior Christina Huang is proud to be Chinese American, but lately it hasn't been easy.
I actually had someone cough on me, like take off their mask and cough on me when I was out with my parents. And at that moment, I didn't really understand. I was very confused.
Asian Americans have reported a surge in hate incidents since the pandemic began, rooted in a long history of racism.
I didn't really understand what it meant until later when we started having the conversations about anti-Asian hate.
A recent study found that in much of the country, K-12 curriculum for U.S. history focuses primarily on Japanese incarceration and anti-Asian immigration laws. So Christina turned her experience into action, joining the effort to pass a law in New Jersey requiring Asian American Pacific Islander history in public schools. Illinois and Connecticut have done the same, and now at least 4 other states are working on similar bills. The groundswell comes as 1 in 3 Asian American parents said their child experienced a hate incident at school. At Ridgewood High School in New Jersey, where Christina is a student,
they can do it, you too can.
Social studies teacher and Indian American Meera Kirtane is ahead of the curve.
Our teachers and our future teachers need to learn more about the narratives that are absent.
She's been teaching AAPI history for years, like influential Supreme Court cases like United States versus Wong Kim Ark, the son of Chinese immigrants who fought for the right to birthright citizenship.
If students are not taught those things, what do they lose out on?
I think the most important piece that they miss is the power that they possess as individuals.
If we want to understand our own lives and the lives of those around us, it's really important to understand the history.
If you're learning about American history, you have to learn the history of all Americans.
What does it mean to you that New Jersey has passed this law?
It means a lot. It means that I'm seen and that my voice is important and people are listening to what I have to say.
Reflecting on the past to build a more inclusive future.
Today, the jury has resumed deliberations in the defamation trial between actors Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Mr. Depp is suing his ex-wife over a Washington Post op-ed in 2018 in which she declared herself to be a public figure representing domestic abuse. Although the piece never explicitly mentioned Mr. Depp by name, he says it has tarnished his reputation. He's seeking $50 million in damages. Ms. Heard is countersuing for a whopping $100 million. Since the trial began on April 11th, it has gripped the nation and overwhelmed social media. But why exactly? To help answer that, Kat Tenbarge joins us now. She's a tech and culture reporter for NBC News Digital, and we so appreciate you joining us. Help me understand, for those on the outside, we've kind of been reading the little snippets day by day, but why has this turned into, it feels like a national sensation?
Sure. So when it comes to celebrity trials, especially when you have 2 very famous people contesting each other in court, there's a huge precedent for public fascination and interest in a case. The fact that the Depp-Heard trial is televised only adds that window into the courtroom that gives people and content creators a chance to clip moments from the trial and then go viral online and become major talking points.
So what did you just call that? Because providers, or these are people in social media, right, who are basically having a field day with this. Talk about the extent to which this is happening in a world some of us don't pay absolutely close attention to.
Yes. So when it comes to major social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and beyond, the trial has not only taken over many people's feeds, but it has also taken over with a very specific slant. Content creators on all of these different platforms are creating content with the narrative that Mr. Depp is in the right and Ms. Heard is in the wrong. So if you come out in support of Amber Heard, your content is most likely not going to be very well received. It's not very likely going to go viral. But on the other hand, on the flip side, if you completely pivot to covering this trial and make content that uplifts Johnny Depp, you're very likely to find an audience incredibly quickly.
I just, do we know why that is? One of the things I read the other day is that Amber Heard did not do particularly well on the stand. Is it just its trial by social media and maybe not seems like almost more significant than the trial itself.
So I would say that if you look at the history of these posters on social media, the efforts to clear Johnny Depp's reputation started long before this trial became televised. Johnny Depp's former lawyer, Adam Waldman, released a sensitive piece of audio that included Amber Heard saying that she hit Johnny Depp. This surfaced in January 2020. And after that, things really took hold and people came into the trial with this preconceived notion that this was going to be a redemption arc for Mr. Depp.
Wow. And Johnny Depp appeared at a concert over the weekend?
Yes. So Johnny Depp has flown to the UK and is performing to, if I have heard correctly, sold out crowds, standing ovations, dozens of fans.
Rather remarkable. What's at stake here, just very quickly?
So not only does this reflect on how we consume and spread information online, but it can also have huge effects for other victims of domestic violence who want to speak out. We're already seeing other celebrities copy this playbook to sue their accusers in court for defamation, and this could have a chilling effect that trickles down to everyday people who want to come out and reveal what has happened to them, talk about their story, talk about their trauma.
Kat Tenbarge, much appreciated. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. After the break, we're going to take you to space and take a closer look at black holes and maybe even hear them. Yes, hear them. We know the sounds of wrens and robins early in the morning, the sound an ocean makes when crashing onto the shore, and now we know the sound of a black hole millions of light years away. Let's listen. This black hole is at the center of the Perseus galaxy cluster. It sent out pressure waves that can be translated into a note. The only problem is that note is so low, humans can't hear it. So NASA scientists resynthesized it up by 57 to 58 octaves, and that's what you just heard right now. Joining us is observational astrophysicist Erin Kara. She's an assistant physics professor from MIT. Good evening. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Was this cool for you? Because it sure was cool for me.
Yeah, data sonification is something that we are really just tapping into now, and I feel like it's a really exciting way to hear the universe and think about it in a new way. I remember the first time that we translated our sound, our light echoes, observations of light echoes into sound. When I heard it for the first time, I thought, oh my God, I can hear the general relativity in that. And that was a pretty exciting moment.
Is this a little similar to, we had the representation of a black hole, a visual representation of it. When was that, a year or two ago? Is this a similar sort of, we're going to take what we get, say, out of a radio telescope and turn it into something that people like I can understand?
Right. So those observations a year ago of M87 from the Event Horizon Telescope, and perhaps your viewers will also remember the most recent image of the black hole at the center of our own galaxy, Sagittarius A star. Those were directly imaged with radio telescopes, as you said. The image or the sonification that you were just playing was actually converted from X-ray light, and that is mapping out the regions around this black hole based on X-ray observations. That's the difference.
X-ray observation.
But yeah, similarly, we can
just remind us, for those of us who it's been a while since we talked about supernova in a science class, when a star is getting ready to collapse on itself, what happens and how do we get to the black hole?
Right. It's a great question. So stars like our sun are bright because they are doing fusion, burning hydrogen and fusing into helium, and that's what's keeping it hot and eventually, creating the light that we observe. And eventually, some of the most massive stars that we see in the universe, they are burning heavier and heavier elements. And eventually they can run through all of that fuel, and they can't produce any more energy through that fusion process. So they can't produce any energy outward. And then gravity, because of the mass of that object, will just pull everything in. And if it's massive enough, it'll just collapse into a black hole.
Crazy. So if you were traveling out there somewhere and could open your spaceship window to listen for the sound of a black hole, would you hear anything?
Well, no, you would not, in the sense that we cannot hear, 50 octaves below middle C. But yes, right. in that particular observation that you are showing, there is a dense enough medium around that black hole that pressure waves are moving out. And that is, exactly what a sound wave is. It's just way too low for our ears to hear them.
There you go. All right. Well, the B flat, but 57 or 8 octaves lower than that, and that's why we can't hear it. This has been a real treat. Erin Kara, thank you for riding along with us and having a good sense of humor about it.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And thank you for making time for us. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We hope you have a good night and a good day.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.